So welcome everybody. This is super exciting to have you all here. Really excited to have Anna presenting to us. And so what I thought we would do is maybe start off with some quick introductions, and you could say who you are, what your challenge is or was with Mastering Mountains, and then something that positive that has happened today for you. And then we'll in the introductions, maybe Anna, if we finish with you, and then that can lead into your presentation. And we will, so Anna will talk to us about well-being. And at any point along the way, if you'd like to ask a question, feel free to raise a hand, ask a question. But we will have a Q&A session at the very end. So yeah, so that's the plan. So obviously, I'll start the introductions, and I'm obviously Nick. And something that positive happened for me today was being up in the Port Hills this evening. Just as the sun was setting, the light was just magnificent across the city and across the Port Hills, and it was just a really special moment to be in, and so that was real positive for me today. Does anyone want to go next?
I can go next.
Sweet.
Hi guys, good evening. My name is Raffaela. I was really blessed to be accepted by Mastering Mountain, I think it was last year. And I have FND, that's my initial condition. And then on the way to FND, this year popped up some Parkinson's, just to throw, to throw a bit of a confusion and make it more interesting. So I'm finally back on track with my training and my medications, and my missions is to go on a 5-day tramp to Blue Lake. That has been my dream for a very long time with my best friend. And today, what happened, it was awesome. I had lunch on the river with my best friend, and we were planning our shopping trip in Auckland to buy a wedding dress in a month.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Kia ora.
You just choose Nick because everyone's too polite.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah.
Oh, did I choose myself? Okay.
Yeah.
Hi everybody. No Kirsten and Raphael, I think, from the last call. But hi Bryce and Duncan and Anna. So yeah, my name's David. I'm in Silverstream in Upper Hutt, and I was Mastering Mountains recipient last year. And I did a Kaurapoti 20k mountain bike race on an e-mountain bike, which was cool. And I've got that because I've got MS. It had been diagnosed for about 4.5 years now. And a good thing for me today was, it's probably a series of good things, was I was able to go to the gym yesterday, which was great, and then had an epic sleep last night. And then today I with MS, like, it just sort of goes like this. You have these days where your legs feel like lead, and other days where you can just feel normal and you can crank around. And that was one of those days today. So that was nice. I don't know, still on the journey of trying to figure out, was it because I went to the gym, because I had a big sleep, or ate well, or a combination of all of those things, probably. So yeah, today was a good day.
That's awesome. Thank you. Duncan, you're next in the lineup on my screen. So how about you? You go next.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I'm Duncan. Yeah, so a good thing that happened to me today. I've just been to my daughter's football training. She plays under 16s, and so taking their team, and it's a really lovely bunch of girls. So that's a good way to finish off the day. Yeah, my Mastering Mountains challenge is ongoing. I'm an ocean swimmer. So I really enjoy the ocean. It's my favourite place, and being blessed up in Auckland with lots of ocean swimming. And I came up with a challenge to, I've swum Rangitoto to St Heliers a couple of times before, but since MS, things are not quite the same. So I've been a bit nervous since to swim it. So I thought it was something different. I'd take that challenge on, and got accepted for that, and I was meant to do it November last year, and 5 days before I was swimming, I got COVID and hit me pretty hard. And so readjusted the challenges to do 3 other longer distance ocean swims, not quite as long as Rangitoto. Been going to the gym. I love the gym. I love fitness, and probably just my own fault of maybe pushing things too hard. I strained my shoulder, and so that I had to rest that. So we went back to plan A, which is Rangitoto again. And so I was all excited to get back into the gym and back into swimming after my shoulder had repaired. And now I've broken my foot, so I'm in a moon boot 6 weeks. So hey, that's what Mastering Mountains is about, eh?
Yeah,
So
that's
mine's
right.
just a bit mine's just a bit ongoing. So yeah, hopefully just waiting for the new swim dates to be released. Hopefully they've got Rangitoto for November. So yeah, that'll be me. Thank you.
Dr. Duncan. Bryce, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Bryce, obviously, from Hawke's Bay. I was diagnosed with MS way back in 2009, I think it was. I was lucky enough to get the Mastering Mountains grant in 2020, I think it was.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And my plan was to ride around Lake Taupo doing the Lake Taupo Cycle Challenge. So 2020 obviously didn't really go to plan for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. And the actual event got cancelled a couple of times, postponed, cancelled. So we ended up just doing it with a group of friends and family. So December 2020, we did it, and myself with about 6 other people. Beautiful day. It was brilliant. It was very, very hard, but I'm glad I did it. It's been probably a lifelong challenge that I've been wanting to do since I was a teenager, and for various reasons never got around to doing it. I don't think I'll ever do it again because it was hard. It was really challenging. For those people that know me, I definitely don't look like the average cyclist, so it's pretty challenging getting 120 kgs up some of those hills around there. But it was good. It was great. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed the journey. Something good that happened today, Raphael, I can probably appreciate this. I was subjected to my first external audit of our winery, and we passed it pretty well with no non-conformances. So
of course, I was dying to
very
ask.
happy about that.
Well done. Sure. That's awesome. And Kirsten.
And I say that leaves me. Well, I'm Kirsten, and I'm diagnosed with MS just over 3 years ago. And I've done my challenge. So I walked the Old Ghost Road in March. And although the challenge continues, because Nick had me writing a wee reflection piece a couple of weeks ago, and I tell you, I think walking it was easier than reflecting on walking it. Yeah, so that was interesting. So that's been really good, just trying to distill down what it's meant for me, and kind of recognizing what the challenges were and how to put some things in place to stay curious and creative about overcoming other challenges and limitations. But it's a good day to chat with you because I had my neuro workup results today with my neurologist down in Dunedin. And my MRI shows less inflammation around what were the previous active lesions. So something's something's going well, because that's actually quite rare. So I'm stoked. We don't know exactly what's caused it, but I would imagine this has got something to do with it. So that's very cool.
It's awesome news. Oh, well done. Well,
Yeah.
Where are they, Kirsten? Head? Spinal cord?
All of mine are my spine, actually. Yeah, everything's in my spine. Yeah.
Cool.
well, cheers, team. And yeah, great to have you all. And Anna, would you like to take it away? But I just first of all want to say thank you so much for being available to talk to us. This is just a real delight. And thank you too, particularly when you've got so much going on at the moment as well with the Olympics. So thank you very much.
No worries. I actually have a pretty slide with pictures to look at, but I'll show you that in a wee bit. But for those of you who don't know me, I am an ex-swimmer, swam for New Zealand, went to a couple of Commonwealth Games, a couple of Olympic Games way back in the 90s, for those that are old enough to remember that. Had my share of challenges, peaks and pits, and success and failures along the way. We're going to touch on that a little bit today around how you define success. I'm now a mum, 3 kids. There'll be a bit of background noise as well, so I apologise if there's some banging around, but we're all going to go with it, right? I currently work for High Performance Sport New Zealand, and we are preparing our athletes for the Paris Olympics and the Paris Paralympics. So we've got a whole lot of stuff going on at the moment. There's lots of nominations happening, selections happening. There's lots of appeals happening for those athletes that haven't made selection and the rest of it. So it's a busy old time. I also work for the New Zealand Netball Players Association with the tactics down here in Christchurch. So I work with the team sport and then the individual athletes, which is a really cool mix. And then my third kind of role is working with a fabulous bunch of people at Performance Wellbeing, and we get into corporates and schools and charge more money than we do to athletes. Yeah, so that's kind of it for me. Are you good for me to go and start?
Yeah, go for it.
Share my screen. Let me know how we go with this.
No worries.
And as always, Nick, it's disappeared.
Oh, no.
Oh, maybe because I've got it there. Here we go. Has that come up for anyone?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
If we press the, if we double click on share screen.
Oh, you've all disappeared now. This is awesome.
It's always the case, isn't it?
I know. Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, there we go. Awesome.
Right. So team, Nick asked me to do something on mental skills, and I said, look, I'm happy to kind of do that. It's not my area of expertise, and I certainly wouldn't call myself a mental skills expert. So I said, why don't we kind of touch on wellbeing, some tools. I'm really, really happy to go where you guys want to take this. I would rather make it kind of interactive. I love hearing your stories as well. And that connection piece is really important. I'm very, very guilty of throwing lots of stuff out there. So I've prepared far, far, far too much stuff. I don't think we'll get through it. So if we need to do a follow-up, we can do that as well. So I also can't see you. So just, I can only see a few of you on my gallery screen. So just kind of put your mic on and button when you want. So go for it, okay? So again, this is kind of my photo gallery, my swimming days up the top, my crazy family, earthquakes down below there, which I'll talk about in a minute. My 3 kids taken from a while ago because they'd be horrified if I put any current photos on there. my role with the tactics, my role with performance wellbeing, and Gemma McCaw and John Quinn, who's one of the best sports psychologists in New Zealand. If you could get him on, that would be a win for you guys. The other photos there, I always just throw in because I've got loads of random stories from, I did Crazy Treasure Island, Celebrity Treasure Island a few years ago, post-COVID, and when did I do it? 2021. And it was a bunch of people thrown together, living rough, on an island and deprived of sleep, deprived of food, and cameras recording your every move from first thing in the morning till last thing at night. So people had meltdowns, and that's exactly what they wanted because that makes good TV, right? So it was really, really interesting because it challenged me in terms of who I was, my identity, where I fitted in, your values, your morals, how you wanted to play the game, and everything else. And I think it was the hardest thing I've ever done, harder than the Olympics, because you train for the Olympics, you know what you're doing, you understand your plans, have a plan A, B, C, all the rest of it. And on there, everything was unpredictable and you were just under a microscope. So I really think it was the hardest thing I've ever done. So the other picture there is and Christchurch earthquakes. That was significant for us Cantabrians and anyone else, around the time there. Nick, you'll attest to that. For me, I didn't lose my house. I didn't have anyone very, very close to me in my family or immediate friends that we lost in them, but I kind of lost a marriage out of it, which is random, and I had to dig really, really deep following that to be a solo mother raising 3 kids, rebuild myself, my career, and everything else post that. And we'll talk a little bit about choice points as well. When life gives you lemons, what are you going to do with it, and what happens? You've got a lot of it you don't know and don't have control over what happens to you, but you do have the choice of your attitude, behavior, and where to next. So we'll touch on that as well. So that's enough about me. So the reason I put this one in, and especially in our high performance industry at the moment, I think we get very, very caught up in humans doing instead of humans being. And look, we've had that really, really tragic case of Olivia Podmore back in 2021, who took her own life. And we produce great athletes, and our mandate at high performance sport is to produce medals on the world stage. But sometimes we forget, it's all about the outcome and results, and we forget that we're all human beings doing the best job that we can. So I've kind of thrown that in just as a starting point. I won't spend too much time on this because well-being, when I'm asked to talk about well-being, it's like, oh man, fluffiness and sunshine and roses and fruit bowls and yoga and tree hugging. It's not all that. So there's tons and tons of definitions, and I'll just scroll through a few of them. Meaning and purpose, thriving. It's not a state, it requires a lot of action and intention. I personally really, really like the middle one with the Mental Health Foundation and the balance point between life's challenges and resources to meet those challenges, because it means, nothing goes smoothly as well. And certainly, as you all know, well-being fluctuates. So it's not a state you reach. It's not like the gym, going in and doing one session and you've done it and you can walk away and go, yeah, sweet, done my well-being. It's not that. It's just around very, very intentional behaviours every single day. And we're working on well-being plans at the moment with athletes that are going to Paris, and it's a plan and it's kind of a tick box exercise, but essentially it's something that we're doing every single day with our athletes, making sure they're checking in on themselves. And man, in this day and age with computers and phones, our tactics girls have to check in on their well-being every single day, their sleep, their eating, their nutrition, and how they're feeling, and their recovery and their heart rate. So it's monitored a lot across different avenues as well for our high performance athletes. So mental health operates obviously on the spectrum as well, bit of a continuum from very unwell, struggling unwell, to coping, life's going okay, or some people call it surviving, and then we're in the thriving as well. So we'll touch on that with some of the wellbeing models. I just wanted to give you this message though. It's not just a nice to have for people. It's an absolute pivotal driver of performance, happiness, and human capacity now. So there's really good research to show why we need to pay attention to this, especially in this very, very fast-paced world at the moment. The analogy I like to use is it's like being in a storm. Well-being is like being in a storm, or life is like being in a storm. We'd all love to be in the center of the storm, the eye of the storm, where it's smooth and calm and peaceful and la-di-da. But the reality is we're usually out there amongst all the shit swirling around us, and there's stuff going around, and well-being is around having the protective clothing, the raincoats, the tools, the resources to weather the storm that life throws at us. So that's kind of the analogy I like to use of some wellbeing and wellbeing tools. So just coping with what life throws at you. And again, this is based on positive psychology, and traditionally, back in my day, if you even saw a sports psychologist, it was like, what the hell's wrong with you, girl? And it was like, a deficit model. The positive psychology model is around you being very, very intentional and buffering yourself. So when you hit hard times, you have the resilience to bounce back, and you have the coping skills to do that as well. So it's just a really nice model to kind of throw at you as well. Different models we work off. The top one is around that well-being or the mental health continuum, from kind of struggling through to thriving. The Te Whare Tapawhā model, all our kids are learning this in school. They start learning it at primary school these days. And there's the PERMA V model, which is positive psychology is based on, and Lucy Hone, who's kind of specializing in this area, calls it the PERMA V model. So positive emotion, positive engagement, positive relationships, meaning and purpose, achievement, and she added the vitality, eat, sleep, move, recover as well. We use a little bit of this pillar with performance wellbeing. We simplify it even more if we're talking to corporates that don't really understand what wellbeing entails as well, around eating, the foundations of eating well, sleeping well, moving well, whatever movement means to you, noticing yourself and awareness of yourself and where you're at, connecting with others, and then doing. So having a strategy around it. So simplify it quite a lot. So it doesn't really matter. I'm just giving a really quick overview, a condensed wellbeing 101. Wellbeing basically requires us all to be aware of where we're at and to be really intentional with our habits and tools, and to repeat, repeat, repeat. So like any athlete that goes into a gym, you don't go in and get strong once. You go in again and again and again and again, and repeat, repeat, repeat. So essentially that's what we're going to get at today. How do we do it though? Do you guys have any questions so far? I can't see all of you. No questions? No, that's all good. So we'll chug on. So again, wellbeing's not a spectator sport. It requires you taking action. So this is where we're going to do a little bit of sharing or thinking, whether you've got a piece of paper or not, or whether you want to go around the room. We all play different roles. We all have different hats on at different times. Like I said, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister. I've got 3 different paid roles that I live by. I do a little bit of volunteering. I'm a friend, I'm a cousin, all of that stuff. So it's been really, really clear on all the different things you are juggling in your world. How do you guys feel about sharing a little bit about everything that you're juggling? You've shared a wee bit. Do you guys want to go there, or you want me to skip this?
I'm happy to go there.
Yeah, that's okay.
Let's go there.
Sweet.
All right then, who wants to go first? Whoopsie, I'll go back.
I'm happy to lead the way.
Go for it, Nick. Whoopsie, I'm trying to find the gallery and see everyone's speaking. There we go. There we go. I can see you.
I suppose, yes, I am a husband, a student at the moment. I have gone back to studying in it, which has been exciting. And I am, then run Mastering Mountains and do have my content creator hat as well, doing stuff for a few brands. And so those are the ones that come immediately to mind.
Awesome. Thank you. Pass it on. Rafaela, I can see you next.
Yeah, I am a wife. I am a project manager at work. I am a mentor to younger women in my industry. I'm an artist. I started drawing and I created an Instagram account for my drawings. So that's and a friend. So that's a couple of things I'm juggling.
Thank you. Kirsten, you're next.
Gosh, I'm a mum. I'm a supervisor. I'm a colleague. I'm a business owner. I'm an employee. I'm a composer. I'm a friend, and I'm an advocate.
Wicked. That's a lot of balls that you're juggling. Okay, Bryce, are you able to talk?
Yeah, I just took my camera off because it's not very good internet quality where I am. But yeah, I'm all of the above. Husband, father, I'm even a grandfather of an 8-month-old boy. I'm an employee. I'm a wannabe athlete. Plus all of the other bits and bobs that we struggle with every day, like all of the chores that we all need to do.
Awesome, thank you. David, you're next.
Hi. Same as Bryce. Not a grandfather though. Thank goodness, not yet. Husband, father. Those are fairly taxing things, as well as being an employee as well. And I was thinking, what else do I do outside of those things? Like a musician, so in a few groups. So you kind of have a role to play in each of those bands and things, and heaps, all those other things. Brother, son, and you do sort of change your hat depending on which role you're engaging in that particular time.
Wicked, thank you. And who have we got? Duncan, lucky last.
That's me now, lucky last. I'm a solo dad. I've got 2 teenage daughters, late teenage daughters. I'm an educator. I'm a teacher. Sport has been my world for a long time, so that's where a lot of my friends are. Other hats recently, parenting my parents. That started to come in as quite a big hat to have of recent times. But it's about my hats.
Awesome. Hey, thank you for sharing. And I think it just gives everyone, we all front up to certain people with a hat on or a mask on at times, and we all have sometimes competing priorities. And so well-being, again, is just ascertaining, what do I need now, what's the priority now, and I can't help you today, this extra job that I've got on or whatever it is, because I need to take care of myself. So it's just a really good kind of exercise to go through as well. This one I may skip over, but essentially I'm just going to challenge you to go, what is your why for doing what you're doing? Whether it's challenging yourself in paid employment with hobbies, so just really connecting to that meaning and purpose. We don't need to go through that now because, like I said, I have so much content to get through. I don't think we're going to get there. So this is really where I want to head. What does success look like for you all? Now, traditionally, again, I was in a sport, swimming, measured by times and placings and medals. And as a young athlete, I used to think, yeah, I do the time, I'm successful. I win the race, I'm successful. But man, I wish I knew what I know now and what I work with young athletes around. I think success now, my very good friend is one of New Zealand's top sports psychologists, and he talks about emptying the tank. So I'll go to this next one. Emptying the tank. You stand up, and no matter what you're doing, whether it's parenting, whether it's your paid employment, whether it's a challenge that you're setting to do, and go, if you can hand on heart sit there and go, I've emptied the tank, I've tried my best today, I've put in the effort, then that equals success. And look, we've got Olympics coming up, and there's going to be a lot of successful athletes based on the medal tally and the media that portrays them. But those athletes that go out there essentially and give it their best shot with the resources they have and the energy they have on the day, and they put in 100% mentally, physically, emotionally, strategically, tactically, whatever the sport is, that is enough. But our athletes, it's a real challenge for them to think about that. I'm just going to pause for a minute. Do you have any comments, thoughts, challenges to this way of thinking? Do you think about it this way, or do you think about it the old kind of traditional way?
I love the idea. That's real good reframing for me, Anna, around a tank being empty. I usually think of an empty tank being a negative thing, but I like thinking of it that way. That I've given my best, so I've given my all to that situation.
Nice. Bryce?
Yeah, I was just thinking of it with like the chronic condition, and it doesn't really work very well for me, because if I, what I've struggled with over a long time is thinking that I'm as fit and healthy as what I used to be. So I'd train, and I'd feel really good, and then I went out the next day and train harder and harder and harder. But I actually ended up, that would negatively affect me for weeks and sometimes even months afterwards. So I really got to retrain my mind not to empty the tank if I want to keep consistently exercising.
And that's a really good point.
Yeah, that's what I thought about when I see that picture.
Yeah,
it's a little bit similar for me too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the question is around, how do you define success for yourselves? So that is the question, because I sit there with athletes at the beginning of the year, if I can get in front of them at either the very end of the year to set up the year ahead, or at the beginning of the year, and I will ask them to define their own success. And they will do that in sport and life, because I work in a space where we're working on them having a life outside sport and transition plans and a career plan for life after sport if everything falls apart. So my challenge to you is, what is your personal definition of success that you are working towards? So you can pat yourself on the back at the end of the day and go, yeah, I'm proud of myself. I nailed it. I was successful.
To me, let me suggest. To me, it's I'm trying to be very intentional. So I try to set specific goals that can be a long-term tramp, or can be what I want to accomplish in terms of chore on a Sunday. Be like, okay, being in a position where I accomplish what I clearly define and I have the tools, I put myself in a position that I have the tools to do so. So that's kind of my humble definition of success.
Yeah. Any other comments?
I think that your Bryce, I hear what you're saying about the empty tank, and I think certainly that had been my experience for a long time. But I think what I realized working with a psychologist a couple of years ago was that actually my definition of success at that point was like a faster time or going hard, and certainly I would leave nothing in the tank in pursuit of a slightly better time or whatever. But then if we reframe it, or if I was progressively, slowly, with some difficulty, began reframing things, and so instead maybe focusing on being present in the outdoors, and for me has been a huge thing. And so actually now if I think about, because I used to always want to beat the track time when I'm tramping or on a day walk or whatever, and now I go and rather than thinking that a faster time than the track time is success, I'll think, okay, well, actually participating in my surrounds and being really present, that for me is success. And so I feel like I can go to empty on that, and giving my all to be present. And so yes, I wonder if it is about reframing it, as you say, Anna.
Yeah, it's getting away. The purpose of kind of doing this slide is around getting you away from outcomes specific, and again, in an athlete world, medals, medal tallies, outcomes, all the rest of it, it's around the process. And that's probably more to your point, Bryce and David, as well. It's around the process. What do I need to do? Do I need to train smart? Do I need to push myself? Do I need to pull back? What do I need to do at this given point of time? And following the process rather than the outcome, because a lot of the time the outcome we can't control other athletes. I mean, I always kind of go, with swimming, you're in your lane, in the lane rope, 2 lane ropes either side. No one can come in and get in your way and elbow you out the way that like can in ocean swimming and triathlons, all the rest of it. It's just you, your mind, your body, and your strategy around it. Oh, we'll move on. Again, I really like, it's a very simplified version of this. It can go way, way deeper. Brené Brown does a lovely iceberg analogy as well. But we often see, our athletes on TV. I watched the news tonight. I'm working with the tactics. They had their 4th win last night, and they're coming up to this clash with the top of the table. And they talk about wins, success is wins. And we won the game, and we won our 4th game. And people see the tip of the iceberg. So they see the winner. We'll see athletes on podiums. But underneath, as you all know, 80% of the iceberg, or whatever the actual stats are, all the blood, the sweat, the tears that go into people's success. So, and I absolutely know with my own career, 99% I think was under the surface of this. Your failures, your crying, your hard work, the dedication, the things you had to give up, the social life, whatever it was. And so it's just really getting you thinking a little deeper than just the surface stuff as well, which you guys probably, I'm preaching to the converted here. Again, what are the things you can control in your world around well-being? What are the things you can't control around it? So, and then where you put your energy. I won't spend too much time on that. I spend a lot of time with children at the moment. We've got a pilot program with year 7 and 8s. And we spend so much time on what are the things you can control in your world, what are the things you can't control, and don't get wound up into the things you can't control. Other people's words, actions, behavior. You can only control yourself, really, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your body language, your behavior. This one I'd really like to have a conversation about, because this is kind of starting your recipe for thriving. And again, I'll use an athlete analogy. Very, very rarely do athletes have a 10 out of 10 race game performance. And so we often think we need to be at our best all the time. And the reality is, you guys know, the reality is we're really not at our best all the time. You know, Richie McCaw used to talk about, you know, just being really, really consistent 80% of the time, consistent in his training, consistent in his mindset, consistent in the way, his attitude and how he attacked training and his drills, and the little routines, you know, the reflecting on the days, what did he do well, what didn't he? And that's what made him so darn good, because no, he didn't have blinders every single time, but he was one of those really solid, consistent players. So I just want you, whether you have a pen, whether you think about it, whether we talk about it as a group, what do you look like when you're thriving, when you truly are feeling at your best? And I've put in some cues there around what are your thoughts, and that's your self-talk, you know, I'm on top of the world, I'm confident, I'm happy, whatever it is. What are you feeling? What are you doing? Your actions, and what is your body language? And we're probably all universally pretty similar with our recipe around this, but let's have a bit of a chat around it. What do you look like, feel like? What's your self-talk like? Those, you know, mental skills. What are they like when you're truly at your best?
I'll jump in. I think for me, it's kind of like a positivity about the future, rather than, I think with a chronic illness, sometimes you can be worrying about where that's going to go down the track, but thinking that you're positive and things are not going to get worse, or it's not going to be the bad outcome that you think it could be, but actually you're thinking differently, about thinking positively about the future, which is probably where you're at today, Kirsten, is it?
Yeah, on the back of some good news, right? That
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure that it wasn't entirely in my control. I don't quite know what's created that good news, but yeah. But I just wrote down resilience is a bit of a tricky word for me this year, because my resilience score on what's that measure called, Nick? The WOW measure or something.
Wellbeing, yes.
Yeah.
Anna introduced it to me.
Ridiculously low score on resilience. But I just wrote that when I'm feeling, when I'm at my best, I'm feeling mentally and emotionally resilient. I don't know, physically resilient, a little bit out of my control and reach at the moment. But just that ability to, I guess, to reframe things, to look for the opportunity for things to improve, to find the silver lining in situations, to see what it is that I can learn from situations. When I'm feeling not at my best, is probably when I get into that kind of downward spiral where I'm more looking for or recognizing the hard things rather than finding ways to overcome them. Yeah. Yeah, and also I think when I'm at my best, so because socially things can be a little bit challenging for me because I do experience a lot of fatigue. When I'm at my best, I don't mind that I'm missing out on social things. I can recognize that in some way I'm choosing that to be at my best. But when I'm not, I definitely have FOMO. Yeah.
Thank you. That's welcome. Some really good awareness there, Kirsten. That's awesome to hear. Rafaela?
That's a funny one. I guess I feel like I'm in flow. I am usually, it's funny, like my appearance is important to me in a way that makes me confident. So in a way, when I feel beautiful, I feel confident, I feel in flow, I feel like I can express myself, I feel like I have the energy to do the things I want to do. And I'm usually have the energy to be with people, be in nature. Yeah, that's I think what sounds right to me.
Ah, nice. Thank you. What else have we got?
I can go next. I think for me mentally, when I am at my best, there's almost a and perhaps this is a bit like that state of flow, as you mentioned, Rafaela, but there's almost a self-forgetfulness and in terms of my self-talk would be like, oh, you've got this, you can do this, not, oh no, everything's going to fall apart tomorrow. And and feel like I have a lot of energy in that moment. And doing would be in the mountains with friends.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think for me, thriving, it's really it's being in the outdoors, especially in the ocean. And I've got lots of friends that I swim with, in that community group, and that really makes me thrive. And that social aspect of being with people that you can connect with. And of late, I haven't been thriving. So that's been a real challenge for me. Yeah, because and then when those positive things aren't happening, you sort of withdraw and shut down a bit, which is quite a challenge then to get yourself back out of that. Obviously other people have different ways they thrive, but my personal thriving is being active. And yeah, that's been quite a challenge. So,
For sharing, that's awesome.
Yeah, some really good words like flow and resilience, and you kind of, or I kind of almost forget that I've got a chronic condition. Like everything just feels good. But it's equally, easy to go down that rabbit hole and start thinking, what you can't do, which is reframing what success looks like and just trying to be a bit more consistent so you can stay in that good zone, the green zone. When you're getting down into the oranges and reds, you start questioning your ability to wear the hats that you talked about earlier. So yeah, for me, just trying to keep in that consistent zone really helps to stay to the top numbers.
Really, really good point there, Bryce, as well, because most of the time we're sitting in that coping zone. I had to take the tactics through their mental health kind of Wellbeing 101 the other day as a team, and the young ones under. And, that if you're putting it on a spectrum like that, the coping thing is, almost 80% of it. Yes, we dip in and out of struggle, daily. You know, we'll have struggle moments, we'll have some thriving moments, but most of the time it feels like we're a duck, you know, paddling above water, especially, you know, our kids at school, they've got so many things bombarded at them. So we are in that coping mode quite a lot. And we're going to go, we may well run out of time now, but I do have a wellbeing plan where you are asked to notice the things that pull you away from thriving and what triggers kind of pull you that way. So more than happy to send that through, because I don't think we're going to get there today. But it's a really good point. In the tactics, one of the girls said she's at her best when she's really sarcastic, and everyone kind of looked at it and said, what the heck? But that's when she's feeling really good and really confident in the team environment. So when the sarcasm drops, she's probably dropping off, you know, really feeling at her best. So it's really good to share it in a team environment as well, and just check in on each other when you notice that they aren't doing those daily things when they really are thriving. You want to do a little bit of reflecting? How do you feel about that? So we use this tool with athletes as well in performance life. Whatever your choice of time frame, you know, I've put here, think back over, you know, the past 6 months to a year, and think, what are the things that impacted you or your performance? So you as a person, you as in whatever role you're thinking about, or all your roles collectively. So just take a minute to kind of shut your eyes and think about all the different things. Watch your film back on yourself. You're the only one that really knows what you've gone through. Take a moment, reflect on it emotionally, physically, mentally, socially, spiritually, and the things that impacted you. When you kind of had a very quick watch of your film, any observations?
I've done lots of thinking, if I may. In the last 6 months to a year, it's been like, you know, the kind of worst and best period of my life. I'm still leaning toward worst. To me, it's been the love of my husband, the love of my closest girlfriends here in New Zealand have been pretty much pulling me together, and the support of Nick and Mastering Mountains. Honestly, it couldn't have happened at a better moment of my life, and having this group, having this mentoring, having the tools to support my well-being, like I would not be here in this state of mind with this positivity if it wasn't for that.
Wow. You've been through an enormous life quake, right? That's awesome that you feel the group has served a purpose, though. Love to hear that. Nick's nodding away and smiling. Any other observations? You don't have to share at all.
I think the past sort of 6-9 months have been challenging for me with some chronic bladder infections, which have kind of just zapped me a lot. But so it's been kind of a bit of a negative. But a positive has been through studying, sort of getting a bit more connected with a bunch of outdoorsy people, which has been awesome. And so finding community as well has been really a real positive. Yeah.
So we'll move on. And Nick, when do you want to finish up? Because not just the time.
Yeah, great question. Well, what if we how is everybody for time? So, and what I'm just wondering is, do we pause now and go in for, like, say 15 minutes of Q&A, or do we want to just continue on with the presentation for a bit and have less Q&A? What's everyone feeling?
I have another 15 to 20 minutes of autonomy for sure, however we want to use them.
Cool.
I'm finding each of these slides are just really good. Just make you think about lots of things, and I'm reflecting on stuff. This is quite cool. This is therapeutic going through some of these things, actually, Anna. I don't know about everyone else. I'll be happy just to carry on with some of these. I don't have any burning questions.
Well, should we just do that then? Should we go for like another 10 minutes, then we can just have 5 minutes at the end there? Perfect.
And look, I'm probably not going to get through everything at all. And I can send this all to you in a PDF to remind you of it all and prompt. And there's some tools at the end, which, look, maybe I can just skip to some wellbeing tools now. Essentially following this, so watching your film and reflecting back at your last 6 to 12 months around your wellbeing. Essentially, you know, if I was sitting in the room with you, and we're sitting in virtual rooms, aren't we? I'd basically ask you to go, you know, physically, when you're at 10 out of 10, what does that look like for you? Mentally, what does it look like for you, you know, when you're at your best? But if we just, and I can't see everyone on one screen, but if we just kind of throw this up, it's a way of checking in physically where you're at right here, right now, out of 10. And you can just kind of show your hands like that. So physically, I guess I'm talking more around the eat, sleep, move, that component of it. You know, your body, how you're feeling. Yeah, that's part of it. And again, you know, if you're not feeling so good or you're fatigued, then that's going to be a lower number as well. So again, show of hands, 1 being really low, 10 being really high. Where are you at? See Bryce. Whoops. Okay, you can make a note down this because it's just a really good way to check in as well. That's one of our tools at the end. Mentally, out of 10, how are you doing? Yep. Okay, note it down as well. Emotionally, again, feelings, emotions, they come in waves, but often if you're going through hard stuff, emotionally absolutely wipes you out. How are we doing emotionally? And then we're getting to the social connection, family, whānau, however you want to describe that. Where are you at right here, right now, today, in terms of your family social well-being? Nice. Write it down if you can, or just log it. And spiritually, so however you define spiritual. So I've got athletes that have a very, very strong faith, and the other ones that don't have faith, it's however you define it. But I often talk about meaning, purpose, your values and strengths, your identity as a person. So where are you sitting spiritually right here, right now, today? Sweet. So I would encourage you, you know, when we're talking about a wellbeing plan and living this and being really, really intentional, and it's one of the tools at the end, a really good habit to get into is when you brush your teeth in the morning. We brush our teeth, most people brush their teeth twice a day, morning and night, right? So when you get up in the morning, to get into the habit, put a post-it note on your mirror or beside your toothbrush or whatever, check in and just go through a little bit of a scan. How am I doing physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually? And note down where you're at. And then ideally, in an ideal world, we'd, you know, try and bump up our number, every single number. But just take one of your lowest stats and go, what is one thing I can do today to buffer that number, to move up? One thing. If your lowest stat is physical, what are you going to do? Is it prioritize sleep? Is it going to be stretching, recovery, a mindful moment, something like that? Okay, so it's a really, really, really good habit to get into, to just check yourself, check that internal mirror. We often check ourselves out physically, driving our car in the mirror. So this is an internal check-in, see how you're tracking. Morning and night, post-it notes, brilliant. Throw it in your car if you're driving cars, or on your computer screen through the day as well. Just get in that habit, check in, check in, check in. Yep. So again, a real quick overview. I do a lot on time management with corporates and athletes, and I don't like doing time management without talking energy management. So again, the physical energy, our sleep, and I absolutely believe our cornerstone habit of sleep is pivotal in all of this, because if we don't sleep well, we often take shortcuts with our nutrition, or we take shortcuts with our exercise, recovery, all the rest of it. So again, physically, what does the ideal sleep look like for you? What's the right level of physical fitness, training, activity? And if you're fatigued, what else can you do? Is it mindful breathing, yoga? Is it stretching, something else? Mentally, again, our focus, concentration, decision making, we all know we get tapped out mentally at work, and we get tapped out in our all different roles. And emotionally, I'm a real sensitive emotional being, so I get tapped out so much when something emotional is going on with my children, my friends, my parents, and that takes a lot of energy out. So how do you recalibrate? If your emotional energy is really low, what's one thing you can do to put in place, you know, whether it's mindfulness or going for a walk outside or just seeing some sunshine during the day? That was my moment today, Nick, having the beautiful sunshine, clear sky and sunshine. Socially, again, you've all kind of talked it around connecting with your family, friends, whānau, that social connection that we really, really, I was reflecting the other day around Christchurch earthquakes. Everyone took the time to connect on neighbours and family members and actually physically visit them. You know, we went around the streets checking in on our elderly and making sure they were okay. What can we do for you? Can we bring you food? Do you need water? Do you need blankets? Whatever it was. And COVID was the complete opposite. We were connecting online at a distance, and it was that real kind of disconnection, yet we're more connected than ever before online. And look, there's a place for online because we're connecting all over New Zealand right now, right? But it's not the same as that, you know, real social connection that we lost during COVID time. And spiritual, we just went through that before. Sense of purpose, understanding who you are, your identity, your changing identity. I had that epiphany when I was on bloody Treasure Island, of all places. It's like, who am I? The athlete, the mum, the wife, the partner, the person, the employee, who am I? And I had a big crisis there and bawled my eyes out for one day, and everyone thought I was mental, but that was okay. Again, it's around a lot of our kids, those of you that have kids, they kind of panic as soon as the phone goes into the red. And I find myself going, oh, bloody phone's, you know, running out of juice, whatever. But we don't often check in on ourselves around that and topping the tank up. So that's why I'd love you guys checking in on yourself around that wellbeing scoreboard, just rating yourself. What do I need to do today to buffer myself up one number? Now, again, our happiness, Nick, you probably do this in your work on wellbeing. Key to our happiness lies in our daily intentional activities. And this comes from Sonia Lyubomirsky. I can never say her name properly. So often people go, I'm just not happy. I've had, you know, a rough day, whatever. But again, genetics, 50%, actions and thoughts, a whopping 40%. So that is around our intentional behaviours, and we can control that around our happiness. External circumstances, stuff happens, yep. And our genetics, yeah, it's what we've been given, but yeah, 40% of our happiness. So that's why it's around those intentional kind of behaviors around, you know, buffering yourself and moving towards, you know, up that spectrum towards thriving. Again, what I'm just going to whiz through here. So the Wellbeing plan, which I'll skip to in a minute because I'm really conscious of time. What are the daily, so you all have a really good picture around what you look like thriving and what you feel like thriving and what your self-talk is when you're thriving. But what are the daily habits, the non-negotiables that you need to put in place? Like, for example, I can get by on less than 7 hours sleep, but to truly be switched on and focused and juggling multiple balls, I would ideally love to have 7 hours sleep. So it's just forming a framework around your daily habits, around those physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, around the things that you can control. So I'd love you to kind of, if you haven't already, got a bit of a roadmap around that. What are the daily habits that you put in place to support your well-being, which will also be the things that are the first to go when you're struggling often, and what things can you put that back in place. So I'll skip to the awareness of internal state. That's what I'm saying. Just check in with yourself morning and night, anything in between. If you need post-it notes or reminders on your phone, whatever works for you, do it as a check-in. Again, stress points. You know, we have a lot of athletes going through selections at the moment. They knew that was happening. It's a stressful time of the year. Children with projects, exams, kids that are at university, they go through, you know, different stress points of the year. You're going to have different stress points in your own world. When are they? And what do you need to do to prepare for those stress points? The ones that you know are coming up, and who can support you through those stress points. So again, I'm just racing through this. Really want you to think around your support team. Who supports you? Do you have an accountability buddy to keep you on track with your well-being? Are you going to check in on each other? Your friends, your family, your children going to check in with you around that? So we often talk about the analogy of a bus, hence my childlike picture up there around a bus. Sophie Pascoe is a brilliant example of this. You know, when she was a young athlete, she said her coach, Rolly Crichton, was driving the bus and she was a passenger at the back. And as a young 14, 15-year-old going off to her first Paralympics, she'd go, yes, Rolly, no, Rolly, anything you say, Rolly, I'll do it, because she was just learning the trade, right? And as she went to her second Olympics, she moved up the bus. Her support team changed. You know, her family was still there, but they weren't so supportive because she had our support with HPS and Z, and she had nutrition and mental skills, sports psych, physios, medicals, all the rest of it. And then by the time she, you know, went to her third Olympics, she was driving that bus. She was in charge, and she was very clear on the roles people played on that bus and what they could do for her. And we were all very, very clear on her expectations of us and our expectations of her. So if you haven't had the conversation with your support team and what you need from your people, I do encourage you to have it. Lucy Hone, who has a PhD in positive psychology, she lost her daughter in a horrific car accident many years ago. And she talks about your 3 a.m. buddy. So who is your 3 a.m. person or people that you would call at 3 o'clock in the morning if you needed them? If you just needed to have a big fat cry or have an offload too, who are your 3 a.m. buddies? And if you haven't already, tell them that they are your 3 a.m. buddy and say you'd be there for them as well. It's kind of a cool exercise to go through. Again, getting started, we talk about micro steps because people go, oh, I want to change this, and this, and I'm going to sleep more, I'm going to eat healthier, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to practice mindfulness, and it's way too much. So what I would encourage you to do from here is just think around one small micro step that's going to put a small minute change in place that's going to build and build and build. So something that's too small to fail that you can change. Here's some tools. So just check in on where you're at morning and night. Brushing teeth's a really good place to start. So whatever's going to work for you, and post-it notes everywhere. That's kind of my go-to. This is a really, really lovely one we use in performance life. Energy breaks or joy breaks. So what brings you joy and pleasure? So I often get really, really busy at work and back to back athlete appointments and consults in a fluorescent room, windowless room at times. And I will need to stand up, stretch my legs and have a joy break. And I'll go outside to get into the day, to get fresh air. If it's sunny, all the better for it, or to do a phone call to check on my friends or kids or whoever it may be. So essentially, it's putting these wee breaks into your day to re-energize you, just like a water break for athletes that you see, in most sports that you watch, netball, basketball's a classic, they're always going aside. And doing something really intentional that brings you joy, even if it's a small ritual of walking through, standing up, taking a break from your desk job and going and boiling the kettle to make a cup of tea or to connect with someone. So popping it into your day to break up the day is a really useful strategy as well. And you may need to have some accountability buddy and check in on that as well through your day. The importance of play, adding onto the joy breaks, like, kids love playing, the ones that out there have kids, but us as adults get really serious and we sometimes forget to play. So I kind of would really advise you to go, what can I put into a playlist? When can I play? When can I laugh? When can I have fun? If it's not daily, then what can you do in your week that's going to bring you a little bit of joy? Like the joy breaks, but a bit longer. Hunt the good stuff. You guys have probably all know about this. Again, I'm teaching it to the year 7 and 8s at school. 21 days has been proven to significantly change your outlook on life, a little bit more positive as well. I've got a few little catch cries there. Hunt the good stuff. What went well, dub, 3 good things, and just daily gratitude as well. One of the things we did when we were on Treasure Island, when the cameras went away, we were left there with the possums and the rats and everything else in the outdoors. And we would sit there at night and we'd do pigs and pits, and we would do our daily kind of tribute as well. So our daily salute to someone that did well or pushed through a really tough time. And it was a lovely, lovely way to finish the day, and it connected us, and it kind of led on to stories as well. So it's a really, really good one to do at the kitchen table, eating dinner at the end of the day as well, checking in on each other. Mindful moment, you probably know these. Stop stands for stop for a minute, pause, take a breath, observe yourself, your emotions. Wow, that person really rolled. I need to do this way more driving, actually. I get a bit of road rage. Observe what's going on, and then proceed before you respond to that person in the meeting, the car. I won't give the bird if I stop and do this, all the rest of it. A physiological sigh, I'll give this one to you. The Huberman, it's really, really well worth looking this up. Real-time tool just to reduce stress and anxiety. If you're nervous, if you're overwhelmed, it works very, very quickly. So it's just a double inhale with a very, very long exhale, and it brings stress levels down very quickly. So Andrew Huberman on YouTube has a really, really quick video about it. I really would recommend watching it and trying it out in your world. It's really cool if you feel overwhelmed. here is my wellbeing plan, one of many. We have lots of different models, but this is a really, really simple one. I can send it through to you. So what does it feel like when you're at your best? How will I know, or how do I know when I'm moving towards struggle, you know, down that spectrum a wee bit? And what are the likely triggers that take you towards, you know, moving down the numbers? And if you're struggling, what things can you do to move yourself up one number? And then your daily kind of behaviors, your weekly and yearly. You know, my friend Quinny often talks about what are 3 things you can do daily, what are 3 things you can do weekly, what are 3 things you can do monthly, you know, the bigger things, and what's 1 thing you can do kind of annually. So I'll send this through to you, Nick, no problem sharing this whatsoever. You can adapt it and use it however you want. And the micro steps. So that pretty much is it for today. I'll get off the sharing screen so I can see you all again.
That is amazing. Thank you, Anna. It's been super helpful, and yeah, just amazing seeing all of these tools that are out there. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And look, more than happy to send the whole presentation through for you to remember as well in a PDF, and you've got it all there that you can go through and remind yourself.
That'd be amazing. And I can, if you are all keen, I can send that out if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. That was great.
You're welcome. I've hit you with way, way, way too much. So just take bite-sized chunks and work on one thing.
That's fantastic. And does anyone just have any quick questions or reflections?
To sleep.
Yeah, no worries. Oh, look, Anna, thank you so much. It's just been really, really helpful, and just so appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us. So thank you.
You're welcome to meet you all and hear your stories. And yeah, I look forward to catching up with you at some stage, Nick, to hear how everything goes.
That'd be wonderful. That'd be great.
Cool. No, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Anna.
Bye.